The manhwa begins with the protagonist lashing out, declaring that no matter what happens, she's not going to change her mind. She's absolutely not letting the marriage between her father and this guy's mom go through. But this naive guy just nods like he gets it, and she's like, "What?" He casually adds that if she doesn't want it to happen, then it won't. He even leans in to grab her hand and confesses that he's been way more into her than his teacher or his mom ever were. And oh my god, this guy's been harboring a long-ass crush on her all this time? He's got that gentle, soft expression as he touches her hand and says that if this is all too painful for her, she doesn't have to accept it. If she really doesn't want their parents to be happy, he'll help her stop them. Meanwhile, the poor protagonist is begging her brain to please not spiral into a rom-com mess right now. This is not the time to be noticing his face or those soft eyes or the way he's low-key kind of handsome, because she literally hates this guy. She's already sworn to make her fate happy, even if it means becoming the villainess herself. Switch to the modern-day setting. We see a cafe where the waitstaff is waiting goodbye to customers. Everyone looks dead tired because these customers were something else. The protagonist in her current life, her name's ODI, is just sighing, exhausted. Her main job? Hardcore fangirling. Her side hustle? Being a dessert-making chef. She tells the staff not to think they can get away with slacking just because they're good-looking. She heads back to the kitchen to whip up her pastries, and surprise, she actually bakes really well. The butler reminds her she's gotta head back by 6, and she panics, realizing she's going to be late at this rate. She grabs her stuff and heads out. At the mart, she goes full fangirl mode and buys an insane amount of merch. The salesgirl, a little confused, asks if it's not all the same stuff, but ODI is like, not even sorry. Buying this merch, sacrificing her money, this is how she's going to save her fave. The salesgirl gets completely swept up in her passion, and outside she starts thanking the god of merch for sending this customer, practically calling ODI a divine blessing. Outside the mart, a group of girls pass by, grumbling that the Doki fan merch is sold out again. It's pretty obvious that this time, Julian gonna get cut from the sequel. But ODI Julian #1 fan isn't having it. She swears she'll support him until the bitter end, no matter what anyone else says. The official name of the game? Doki Fantastic, an Otome game set in a school for princes and knights. Her fave? Julian, the instructor. He's technically a side character, but his voice made ODI fall head over heels. Now, she's all pale and sad, heading home with heavy steps. But oh no. Just like in every cliche ever, she gets into an accident. The next thing she knows, she's floating in the air. She's like, what the hell is this place? And there's a man standing above her. He says she's finally awake. He's the Grim Reaper, the guy who guides souls to heaven. ODI is instantly done. She asks who the dumbass was that killed her. The Grim Reaper tells her she died herself. She gets all gloomy, not because she misses her life, but because without her being there to buy merch, Julian might get kicked out of the sequel. Her inner drama queen is in full swing. She starts yelling at the Reaper, but he's totally confused. He pulls out the death records and says her name's on it. But wait, she looks at the file and realizes it's 2024. Her actual death date is 2 years away. Someone seriously messed up. The Grim Reaper starts panicking hard. In his entire 100-year career, he's never screwed up like this. If his boss finds out, he's so getting erased. But ODI sees her chance. She tells him straight up that if she goes to heaven, she's tattling. The poor Reaper begs her to just state her wish. She starts rambling, classic ODI, and the scene cuts just as she blurts out that she wants to be reincarnated into the world where Julian exists. She wants to be cuddled and loved by him. The Grim Reaper is so done. He mutters that this is a whole new level of dead soul behavior. He's never been blackmailed like this. Still, he pulls out his ultra-cool digital laptop, because yeah, Death has Wi-Fi now, and asks for details. She's all excited, saying she wants to be cuddled and doted on by Julian like, right away. The Grim Reaper warns her that this is a super exceptional case and they're not accepting any complaints later. ODI just gives him a devilish smile, like, oh no, do I look like a monster to you? Cut to the reincarnation. Bam. She's being cuddled and loved by Julian, just like she asked. But hold up. She's reincarnated as a baby. Yup. Baby Diana. This is not what she signed up for. She starts bawling on the spot. This is not the cuddling she meant, stupid Grim Reaper. Diana starts crying, and Julian gently lifts her up, cradling her in his arms and rocking her to make her smile. The maids around them whisper to each other, saying that it really seems like Diana adores her father. The butler then politely reminds Julian that it's time they should be heading out now. Julian carefully places Diana back into her crib and tries bribing her to behave with a doll named Cindy. She takes the doll with her chubby hands, making Julian melt from the sheer cuteness overload. Eventually, one of the maids notices that Diana has drifted off to sleep and decides it's time for her own break. But the second she leaves, Diana opens her eyes because, let's be honest, pretending to be a baby is hard AF. Cindy the doll, aka the literal embodiment of chaos, tells her that it's not pretending, this is her real life now. Diana agrees, but she's salty and snaps back that this is all Cindy's fault. Plot twist: Cindy the doll is the Grim Reaper, the exact same one who caused her accident and messed up her death schedule. This was his first ever assignment involving a game world reincarnation, so to make sure nothing went wrong, the fool decided to possess a doll. Diana is over it and says that's not even the important part right now. What matters is that when she grows up, she's going to fire the maid. Cindy asks her for justification, and Diana replies that it's because that lazy maid doesn't take proper care of Julian. This time around, Diana swears she's going to protect her fave Julian at all costs, even if it means being the watchdog of peace in this weird timeline. Cindy mutters that the only reason they're able to talk freely like this is because of the maid's slacking, and Diana shrugs, saying that's the only reason she's letting it slide for now. She doesn't want Julian to walk in and get terrified by the sight of his baby daughter talking to a doll. Just then, she hears footsteps approaching her room. Instant panic mode. She flops back into bed and pretends to be asleep like a little drama queen. But whoever's coming, it ain't the maid. It's that overly perfumed disaster she can't stand. Enter Diana's mom, Scarlett. Julian brought her here, and honestly, why? He says it's because Scarlett's always cooped up in her room, and he wanted her to see Diana, who looks just like her. Diana's lying there, gritting her gums, and already cooking up her revenge. Then she strikes baby puke right on Scarlett's dress. Mission accomplished. Scarlett screams and runs out, humiliated. Diana's thoughts are pure rage. She's calling Scarlett a makeup shop hag in her head, cursing her for even daring to think about having a kid with her Julian. Cindy is just standing there like, girl, did you just say that about your own mom? But Diana is unbothered and already begging Julian in her heart to just wait until she's grown. She's going to protect him from every single villain who dares get near. But then Cindy drops a bomb. She tells Diana that her beloved Julian is going to die in just a year and a half. Diana freezes. What the hell is Cindy talking about? She starts throwing questions like rapid fire, but Cindy doesn't have many answers. Diana demands to know if she got that book, The Classic Future Guide, but Cindy says it can't be brought into this world. All she can do right now is interpret the death omens that are appearing. Diana is devastated. She finally got reincarnated into her phase world, and now he's going to die? And it's going to end with a heartbreaking misunderstanding? Absolutely not. Her inner energy surges like a Gen Z Goku. She is not letting this go down like that. She's going to uncover the truth behind his death and take revenge if it's the last thing she does. Cindy tells her to calm down and reminds her that if she actually wants to survive in this world, she needs to stop making reckless plans. She even asks if Diana has any leads right now. Diana hops off the bed with pure rage energy and declares that of course she does. Scarlett. She knows it's her. Cindy tells her not to do anything stupid because one wrong move, and she's literally dragging her own soul to hell. But Diana knows how villainous moms work. She's read enough Ice Guy stories to fill a damn library. Meanwhile, Cindy is struggling to push open the door with her tiny plush limbs. Diana thinks Scarlett must be hiding something in her room, maybe even sneaking in a man. Cindy protests, saying Scarlett claimed to be sick. Diana scoffs, how dumb can you be to fall for that? Running through the hallways with her little baby heart pounding, she hears a voice and quickly shoves Cindy somewhere to hide. They spot Scarlett humming to herself. Diana's fully locked in on catching her red-handed and dragging her to exile. But Cindy warns her it's not going to be that easy. They both hide in the bushes, peeking out with wide eyes. And holy hell, it's worse than they thought. Scarlett is totally having an affair with a random guy. She whispers to him that she's already been slipping slow-acting poison into Julian's drinks, and they just need to wait a little longer for it to kick in. Diana is ready to explode. She mentally swears she's going to execute this witch herself in public, no less. But first, they need to get solid evidence. Suddenly, some kids appear from behind them, overhearing everything and pointing fingers. They straight up say the voice definitely came from this baby. One even asks if she's talking to herself. Diana is wide-eyed like, how the hell are these kids real? Diana is all messed up. She doesn't know what to do anymore, wandering around in confusion. Some of the kids overhear her talking to herself, but one of the boys says that they seem like normal kids to him. Another argues that it can't be, insisting that they must be the ones stalling time, since there are no other kids around them. They all circle around Diana, curious to know what she is and beg her to wail one more time. Ethan tells Freddy that it must be his imagination, that babies simply can't talk. Diana is genuinely glad that Ethan pointed it out and that they might believe it now. But Freddy has his own reasoning. After all, Ethan learned numbers when he was just 1, Elias could speak a foreign language at the same age, and Freddy can sing any song he hears, so to him, babies talking feels normal. And now that he's said it out loud, it really does seem like babies like them do exist in hell, which makes both Diana and Cindy lose their minds. But oh no, they get busted because of it. Poor Cindy is now in these boys' hands, trying to figure out where she made that sound. Finally, Diana asks them who they are and where they came from, because she hasn't seen them here before. They all introduce themselves, adding casually that they are triplets. She is shocked that they are top cheat level species, packed with popular features. She glares at them, but oh no, they're not her type at all. Cindy also asks them where they came from and where their parents are, since isn't it too hard for kids their age to come all alone? They casually answer that it's easy as hell if they get a carriage. They tell her that they're here to see Professor Julian. Diana asks if they're here to see her father. Ethan gets excited upon learning that she's his daughter. He tells her they were really moved by the new history book Julian published and want to get his autograph. Diana, the #1 fangirl, is now in full denial. Her favorite person published a book? Cindy asks if her father is really that amazing, but even Diana herself didn't know. Her favorite character, her dad, is now a history teacher at Doki Academy? In the game setting, he played a supporting role to the female lead, and there weren't any scenes of him teaching history. She thought it was just a matter of demand, but now she's in full-on tears of joy. Cindy understands. So, there are things even Diana doesn't know. The whole thing is truly frustrating for her. The kids then ask Diana more importantly what she was looking at, but she gets alarmed. It's too intense for a child to see. But Freddy notices that there's no one there. Diana and Cindy both look again. Indeed, there's no one in sight. She starts crawling, because this little soldier needs to find those scumbags. But the universe is not on her side, and she falls to the ground. She's walked too much and has no strength left. Ethan picks her up, asking where she wants to go. They'll help her. He puts her on Elias's shoulder. Diana, seeing this, smirks. She can use these triplets to her advantage. Cindy sees the look on her face and immediately knows she's plotting something evil again. Diana tells them that they are all going to witch hunt. At the mention of a hunt, all of them get really excited. As expected of kids, the word alone has them fired up. She tells them that the witch who was here a moment ago is trying to put her father to death with a curse. Ethan gets really worried Julian is in danger. She adds that this is why they are going to use their powers to save him. Everyone finds the mission exciting, and Ethan, being Ethan, is all in. If it's for Julian, then they are now going to meet this witch. All the while, Diana thinks that using these overpowered kids, she is going to make Scarlett's life a living hell. Scarlett's boyfriend tells her she's one daring woman having a shower with him in her own husband's washroom. But she casually brushes it off, saying Julian must be busy working, probably writing that damn boring book again. Her boyfriend wonders aloud what kind of face her husband would make if he ever found out a commoner like him slept with his wife. Scarlett doesn't even flinch. After all, when they were trying for Diana, Julian had been absolutely clueless, and she had to take the lead in everything. Her older sister married into a count's family and is living her perfect little life, while Scarlett got stuck with the second son who owns nothing, living with that lame husband and that cheeky baby who's nothing short of notorious. She thinks it's all damn annoying. Diana, meanwhile, is literally losing her mind hearing all of this. Scarlett's boyfriend jokingly asks if Scarlett's plotting to kill the baby too. Scarlett, without missing a beat, says yes, she's going to give that powder to her as well. Hearing that, Diana is like a millimeter away from turning into a full-blown demon and devouring her on the spot. Scarlett calmly assures her boyfriend not to worry, she'll make sure Julian rewrites the will so she can get all the royalties. But just then, they hear someone screaming. Her boyfriend brushes it off, thinking it's just the wind. What he doesn't realize is that Diana has been watching them with devil eyes the whole time. But the ledge she's standing on isn't stable, and yeah, she actually falls. Diana calls Scarlett an old hag, screaming how dare she try to ruin her face just to serve her own motives. She throws a tantrum, yelling that this body she's stuck in is dumb as hell and her eyes are rotten to even witness all this. Cindy steps in, pointing out that Diana should really stop using such disgusting language in front of the kids, cause right now, she's giving pure villainous energy. Plus, she better start worrying about her own safety first, since Scarlet clearly said she's planning to kill Diana too, but Diana just makes that signature cunning face, the one that says she knows she's not going down that easily. That old hag has another thing coming. Ethan and Freddy, all fired up, say they're ready to go in and kill that witch. Diana's totally on board. She's like, yeah, sure, go inside and beat her to a pulp. The boys are hyped and ask what they should do. Diana starts planning it all out with them while Cindy stands there mortified, warning Diana not to plant weird murderous ideas in the kids' minds or she's going straight to hell. But the way those kids are making the same exact cunning face as Diana? Yeah, Cindy knows a huge mess is definitely about to go down. Cut to the butler. He hears a knock on his door. As he opens it, he freezes. It's Diana. He freaks out, wondering where she came from, where the maids are, why she's crawling like that. He runs after her, but then stops dead in his tracks. She's flying. But it's not really her, it's Elias, transformed back, leading the butler somewhere, cause apparently, he's got an important role to play. Meanwhile, in Julian's room, he hears a cat meowing. It's weird, cats aren't supposed to be here. He gets up to check but finds no one. It was actually Freddy making those noises. When Julian turns back, he sees Cindy. He's totally confused about what she's doing there. He tries to grab her, but Ethan, who had tied a rope around her, pulls her from outside. Julian is baffled, wondering if she just moved by herself. Ethan then full-on starts running, pulling Cindy along, making Julian panic like, where is she going? Cindy, on the other hand, is thinking this is the dumbest, most obvious handmade drawer trap ever. No sane adult would fall for this. She even mutters to Diana that this plan is totally not gonna work. But Diana's like, how are we supposed to know if we don't try? And somehow, it actually works. Cindy can't even process it. Finally, Julian and the butler are face to face. All the kids hide instantly. Julian's confused. Wasn't he just asleep? The butler says it's about Diana. Julian gets super anxious. What about Diana? But then, they hear noises from Scarlet's room. The butler rushes in and throws open the door only to find Scarlet sleeping with her boyfriend. She's beyond flustered seeing them there. Julian is completely shocked at the scene, but the butler, cool as ever, just says, all yours, Barry, making it clear they're leaving judgment in Julian's hands. Diana, watching it all go down, is absolutely thrilled that her plan worked. But Cindy? She's still in denial, because this whole thing is going way too smoothly. She seriously wonders, is this what they call poetic justice? Honestly, something like this could never have happened in the real world, but somehow Diana manages to save her idol life like actual idol survival arc unlocked. Now we see a pretty lady, along with her maid, apologizing to Julian. Apparently, her son caused trouble for him. Julian, ever the calm one, assures her that there's no need to worry. If those kids hadn't been there, not just him, but even Diana would have gotten herself killed. Just to break it to everyone, this woman is the triplets' mother, and she, along with her maid, spent the entire night searching for them. She really wants to say thank you from the depths of her heart, but then Cindy notices something kind of off. Julian and the triplets' mom are sitting way too comfortably close. Cindy's internal alarms go full red alert like, what is happening here? The triplet mother quickly turns away, calling her sons. They've gotten the signature, so they should probably leave. The triplets insist they still need to greet Diana, but their mom tells them they'll wake her up if they do that. Diana, who's actually peeking with one eye open, ends up getting caught, which earns a little scolding from the triplets' mom cause yeah, now she's awake. Julian tells her it's fine and encourages her to greet her brothers. Diana really isn't in the mood to touch anyone except her idol, but since they helped her save him, she decides to let them off the hook for now. She grabs Elias's hand, which makes Freddy instantly jealous. Ethan, not about to be left behind, picks her up and puts her in his lap, making Freddy even more jealous. With nothing else to do, he gives her a quick peck on the cheek, and here's the real kicker: they still don't even realize their love rival is literally sitting right in front of them. Fast forward 14 years later, Diana's all grown up, and boom, plot twist, those cheat species turned out to be ridiculously handsome. In a mansion nestled among flowers and forests, far from the capital, lives a father-daughter duo who are honestly more lovey-dovey than most couples out there. Diana is in full domestic mode. A housemaid asks what she's doing, and Diana scoffs, can't she see? She's cleaning the floor. The maid is like, okay, sure, but that's literally my job. Diana gives her a death glare. How dare she try to rob her of the sacred pleasure of supporting her father's life? Now the maid's begging for mercy. Diana is wearing her idol's clothes soaked in his sweat, of course, and has filled the mansion with flowers so her idol can breathe only the best oxygen. She's making the best dessert so her idol can use his brain properly. Like, seriously, what could possibly be better than this? Finally, Julian walks in and she whips off her apron like she's about to win the Wife of the Year award. She welcomes him warmly and tells him she's made a ton of sweets, and they should eat them together. Oh, my God. This whole vibe? It's giving just married energy. And she's low-key living for it. Even the maid is side-eyeing this whole thing because, wow, they are very close for a child and her father. Diana brings the cakes and proudly asks him what he thinks. She's feeling super confident about her baking skills today. The maid, meanwhile, is internally panicking. It's been 14 years, so it wouldn't be shocking if Julian starts talking about marriage again. But if that happens, there's definitely going to be bloodshed, and sure enough, Julian drops the bomb. He's got something important to discuss with Diana. She tilts her head, all curious. What is it, father? He calmly tells her that he's already found someone he wants to marry. Boom. Total silence. Diana breaks the spoon in her hand, but tries to play it cool, saying it must have been the wind or something. That night, she's aggressively kneading bread, going full rage mode. Like, what even is this? There hasn't been a single woman for the past 14 years, and now someone randomly appears out of nowhere, trying to snatch away her happiness? Not happening. Nope. Not today. Cindy points out that, no matter what Diana says, Julian seriously looks like he's in love. Julian explains that the woman he wants to marry is someone he met in the library. She's a good person. She likes history too. Diana is not having it. She's like, hold up. Even if that's the case, they have no idea what kind of woman she really is. What if she's just like that old hag? Yes, she totally means her own mom. Julian tries to calm her down, saying this woman is nothing like her mother. And since Diana's debut is coming up, she needs a mother by her side. He's like, okay. Meanwhile, Diana's spiraling. On one hand, she's glad she got to hear such sweet words from her idol. On the other, she's thinking if anyone seriously thinks she's going to just let him marry another woman? Absolutely not. This is a no-go zone. Cindy warns that if Diana ever becomes the mother-in-law, she'll be the type who gets written about in Wise anonymous bulletins like, my mother-in-law just hexed my soup type stories. The woman's name is Claire. She's 35, the daughter of a count, loves history, and apparently has a whole private library at home. Diana glares at Cindy, asking how she even knows all that. Cindy rolls her eyes. If Diana actually listened when her dad was babbling on earlier, she would have heard everything, but Cindy's still confused about one thing. Julian's showing those signs again. The signs of death, which is exactly what makes Diana absolutely lose it. The triplets are enjoying their own separate activities when Freddie suddenly asks if they've heard the news from the maid that Julian has finally proposed to their mother. Ethan agrees, nodding as he says that their mom always becomes unhinged when it comes to history, so he had always thought she would make a good match with Julian. After all, it was the triplets who arranged their meeting in the library to begin with. They reflect on how Julian took his sweet time proposing to their mother, but ultimately, it's fine. With the death of that particular person, they can finally proceed with their actual plan. Freddie smirks, saying that indeed, that old geezer had been far too persistent. Ethan protests, half laughing, saying Freddie really shouldn't refer to their own grandfather like that, but Freddie shrugs and insists that he was old, about 75 years, after all. Even so, Ethan reminds them all that they still can't afford to let their guard down, not until they obtain their true objective. At the same time, Diana is beginning to lose her composure. She questions whether Cindy is really telling the truth. It unnerves her, and she can't help but ask why Cindy would bring up something so significant in such a casual tone. Cindy, somewhat defensively, explains that there wasn't much she could do. Ever since she spoke with her father, he's been giving off this don't talk to me energy, and she simply couldn't find the right moment to bring it up earlier. Cindy insists that Diana shouldn't ignore things just because they're unfavorable or inconvenient. She continues, saying that the first real sign came when her father mentioned that he plans to remarry. Diana gasps, almost shouting in disbelief. She knows that this new woman will be just like that dreadful old hag. Cindy sighs and tells Diana she really needs to work on her language, but Diana's too fired up to listen. She can't just sit around and wait for her father to die, not like this. She has to do something. She needs to stop him from going through with this marriage. Cindy tries to reason with her, pointing out that it's not even confirmed yet that the engagement is linked to his death. But Diana won't hear it. She's convinced this is the real cause. "This is what always happens in Ice Guy," she mutters. She truly believes she needs to get her father out from under this evil woman's grip. Ironically, at this moment, to Cindy, Diana's expression seems more wicked than any villain they've ever encountered. The next day, Julian is visibly worried about Diana. He questions whether she really plans to travel alone and wonders if it wouldn't be safer to bring a maid along. But Diana reassures him with a confident smile it's all fine. She tells him that going alone is actually more convenient for her, especially since she wants to focus on her sketching. Before leaving, she kisses him sweetly and waves goodbye from the carriage. Cindy watches from the side, genuinely impressed by how effortlessly Diana lies. Even though she's clearly headed to a completely different place, she carries herself like she's simply following a peaceful routine. She even changes her clothes as soon as she's out of sight. Cindy realizes that Diana truly intends to show her father this side of her. Cindy asks her again, "Are you really going to do it?" referring to Diana's plan to sneak into her father's fiancé's house dressed as a man. Diana responds without hesitation, "Hell yeah." She insists that the woman isn't officially her father's fiancée yet, and she certainly hasn't acknowledged her as such. Surprisingly, Cindy supports this undercover mission too, especially because there's a real possibility that the death of their father and this woman could be connected. Still, she can't help but wonder, how does dressing like a man help with all this? Cindy questions why, if the job opening was for a maid, Diana is presenting herself as a man. Diana chuckles and says that in her past life, she was always curious about something. If she had a beautiful face, could she have attracted more fans than even her servers? Against her will, she inherited this gorgeous face from her detestable mother, and now, she wants to prove that she's someone to be admired not just for her appearance but for her skills as well. Cindy mutters something about how this is clearly a personal grudge being taken to extreme levels. At last, they reach their destination. Diana is now at the home of the second evil hag, as she calls her. She's ready to reveal this woman's true nature and save her father. Cindy, watching all this unfold, wonders if this mission will go as planned, but to her astonishment, she sees the butler and the maids utterly captivated by Diana. Even Cindy finds the reaction unbelievable. At one point, a maid nearly tumbles down the stairs, and Diana, swift as ever, catches her just in time, asking with sincere concern if she's okay. The maid, flustered, falls hopelessly in love right then and there. God help her orientation, because she's clearly smitten with Diana despite everything. One by one, the maids fall under Diana's spell. They whisper about how strange he is for bringing a doll everywhere, yet still, they're enchanted by his elegant posture and warm smile. Then, there's the moment one maid gets her period. Diana, maintaining her role as the butler, kneels beside her, gently advises her to heat her stomach, and treats her with such kindness that the girl nearly faints from admiration. Cindy watches all this unfold and thinks to herself that these people are now Diana's #1 fans. Freddie, hearing about this later, is utterly speechless. He mutters that he can't even look anymore. She knows he has rizzed up the maids more effectively than he ever could. And just like that, Freddie's crazy mind lights up with a new idea. That night, Diana quietly observes her next target, a woman she mockingly refers to as the next vixen. As always, Cindy scolds her, insisting she shouldn't call people that. According to Cindy's research, this woman is supposed to be their father's fiancée. Diana immediately cuts her off, repeating that this woman is not her father's fiancée, not yet. Cindy sighs and explains further. The woman, Clary, was married up until recently to another noble. Diana begins pacing, wondering aloud if Clary is divorced, and assumes she must have cheated on her husband. Cindy quickly corrects her, stating that Clary is actually a widow. She adds that Diana really needs to stop jumping to conclusions, or she's seriously going to earn herself a ticket to hell. Still, Cindy shares that Clary has 3 sons, and until now, they've been studying in public schools. But recently, they've all moved back into this house. Diana, however, is disinterested in the children. She storms toward her room, declaring that she's going to expose the vixen's true colors herself. Just then, Freddie appears in front of her, grinning as he announces that he finally found him. He stares at Diana and says she really does stand out. Cindy's eyes widen. She immediately recognizes Freddie. He's one of the kids from back then. And if he is here, that means Clary has also seen her. If either of them remembers, Diana's identity might get exposed. Freddie glares at Diana and says that just looking at her pisses him off. Diana fires back, Wondering aloud why he's acting like this. Does he think that just because he's a little handsome, he can act superior? Suddenly, a group of maids rush up behind him, asking if Freddy has finally returned. The name clicks for Diana, and while Freddy turns on the charm, talking about how he saw a beautiful girl and simply had to come back, the maids lose their minds over him. Diana, unimpressed, asks the maids if they're even on duty. They respond with a cheerful yes. Diana then calmly tells them that if that's the case, they should take better care of their hands, and proceeds to apply hand cream on one of the maids' hands. This gesture sends the maids into a frenzy. Freddy is seething with irritation while Diana teases him, amused by how the maids are already leaning toward her. Freddy huffs, muttering that of course, girls want someone who'll care for them. There's no way they'd choose to lose that pretty face over someone like him who only knows how to riz. Diana begins to wonder silently if his name really is Freddy. Freddy snaps at her, reminding her she's just a butler and shouldn't act so cocky in his house. Diana mentally confirms that he really is part of the family. To avoid further chaos and protect her identity, she politely tells him that if that's the case, she will take her leave, but Freddy stops her, saying he hates guys who outshine him. He challenges Diana to a match. Diana blinks. What? Freddy explains that if she loses, she has to leave the mansion. Cindy watches in disbelief, thinking, what is this elementary school? Soon, all the maids gather around, curious about the spectacle. Freddy announces to his lovely ladies that he's going to perform something special for them tonight, encouraging them to enjoy a magical evening together. The crowd goes wild as he sits at the piano and begins to play, singing with a voice so dreamy that, no matter how many times they've heard it before, the maids practically swoon. Cindy is practically dying on the inside. Are they seriously battling to win the maids' favor? She thinks. It's clear the rich brat already has a head start with all his fanfare, but somehow, Diana still decided to go along with this ridiculous contest. Cindy starts to wonder where Diana even disappeared to until, all of a sudden, she reappears holding two blazing firelights, nearly making Cindy's eyeballs pop out in shock. Diana looks directly at Freddy and declares that it's her turn now. Freddy, taken aback by the flames, yells, demanding to know what she's doing. She gets on the stage with theatrical flair and begins performing a special move that sends everyone into cheers of admiration. It's called the lid trick. And kids, don't you dare try this at home, where Diana swears she'll eat all your sweets. The servants are going completely insane over her. Her elegance, precision, and aura are nothing short of spellbinding. Meanwhile, Freddy is fuming. He storms away and barges into Diana's room, only to find Cindy inside. He notices Diana's doll and mutters that it looks oddly familiar. Then, as if fate wants to make things worse, a voice calls out from the washroom, Diana asking Cindy where she placed the handmade shampoo she brought. Freddy freezes. Handmade shampoo? He's stunned. How could this fancy butler be using something cuter than him? Just then, Diana opens the door, annoyed that Cindy hasn't responded, and asks if she's asleep or has lost her hearing. Cindy panics and yells at her not to come out right now. Freddy is completely stunned to hear Cindy talking. He turns sharply, and just as the door fully opens, Diana sees the horror in his eyes as he stares straight at her while Cindy sits behind, silently crying. Freddy is like, don't tell him that she is a girl. In response, Diana suddenly jumps to smack him and, oh no, his head takes a good history-worthy fall. He collapses, losing consciousness. Diana panics, thinking that was way too close. Cindy wonders aloud if he's out cold, but what really worries her is the possibility that if they find out he's been with a girl this whole time, it'll cause a massive hassle for her. Cindy shouts at Diana, asking if that's really what she's worried about right now, because shouldn't she be worrying about the fact that Freddy is lying there unconscious and completely exposed? Cindy demands to know what Diana plans to do, and if she really thinks she can just knock him out and get away with it. But Diana only makes that cunning face of hers and asks what she thinks she is. Cindy gets all flustered, growing genuinely concerned over what this lunatic girl is planning now. Diana calmly tells her to leave everything to her. She's very well versed in handling guys like Freddy. It's even easier for her than twisting a baby's arm. Cindy gets a really bad feeling about this. Eventually, Freddy wakes up. He's immediately uncomfortable. It's not his custom-made bed, and his whole body feels sore. He wonders where he is. That's when Diana, now dressed up as a butler, greets him. Freddy's memory jolts as he recalls the view of her completely naked the day before. Diana hands him a drink. He asks her what it is. She replies that it's warm water. But Freddy raises an eyebrow. Shouldn't he be getting tea in the morning? Diana explains that hot water clears the skin, helps with digestion, and keeps the complexion flawless. It's really the perfect drink for someone like him who's always so concerned about his appearance. Freddie is deeply moved. He thinks she's truly considerate. He drinks it, enjoying the warmth, but Diana's internal monologue is a different story entirely. That's not the real topic at hand. The real issue is the fact that she is a woman. Just then, a twitch runs across Freddie's face. He turns to her and asks what she's doing now. She replies calmly that massaging his face with hot water will make his skin even cleaner. He asks if she's trying to win him over with skincare. Diana smirks, impressed by how blunt he is. She tells him that she has the technology to preserve his beauty for longer, and if he agrees to forget everything that happened last night, she'll help him achieve a whole new level of beauty with her skills. She asks him what he thinks, confidently saying that she's sure she'll be extremely useful to him. Freddie wakes up fully and sees his reflection in the mirror, his pretty face looking radiant. He's impressed. In fact, he likes it so much that he immediately assigns Diana as his personal beauty specialist. Diana is delighted to land this position and is more than willing to serve him excellently. The narcissistic Freddie adds that she'll have to try really hard not to get abandoned by him, though. Both Cindy and Diana internally gag at his attitude, but they say nothing. Later, we see that Diana seems to be in a really good mood. Thanks to this whole scheme, she'll finally be able to enter the library that only staff and family members have access to. She even manages to snatch the key from Freddie, telling him she'll need it to study more about his skin. But in reality, she's on a full-on Tom Cruise Mission Impossible operation. They arrive at the library. The door practically screams that it holds something incredibly special. Diana is absolutely convinced that the vixen's weakness must be in there. Cindy, on the other hand, thinks there might be even more important things like political documents or other useful information. But Diana clearly isn't listening to a single word she's saying. She enters the library, and there are Julian's books. Cindy asks what's wrong, but Diana is practically drooling. Seeing her favorite Julian's works here makes her feel like she's in paradise. She feels sorry for herself. She just can't stare at them like this without tearing up. Then, they hear a voice behind them saying that she's the one from earlier. Cindy immediately tenses. Who is it this time? It's Ethan. He looks at Diana and asks if she's the new butler from before. Diana looks at him, completely annoyed, while he questions what she's doing in front of the esteemed Julian's books. Cindy recognizes him too, while Diana and Ethan lock eyes in a full-on glaring competition. Diana asks him if he's the owner of the books on the shelf. Cindy is literally begging her to snap out of it because he is Ethan, the owner of the house. Ethan tells Diana that since she's new, it's obvious she wouldn't recognize him. His voice sounds gentle, but Cindy can tell he's really angry. Even as he speaks calmly, he adds that he can't just let her go like this and would very much like to know what she was doing in front of his precious shelf. Cindy knows this is really bad. They are seriously screwed. She desperately pleads with Diana not to lose it. She needs to remember why they even came here in the first place. If she forgets, they're going to get kicked out before even entering properly, but Diana grabs his hand and practically screams with overflowing emotion. She then welcomes Ethan, calling him a fellow fan. Ethan doesn't seem to understand a single word she's saying. Diana gets in full swing and pulls out one of the books, proudly declaring that this is the book Julian wrote while he was still teaching at the academy. Ethan is genuinely impressed. This information isn't even known to his most dedicated fans. He starts wondering if she really is a great fan. So, to test her, he pulls out another book and asks her about it, certain that she won't know. But Diana simply sighs and says that this book marks Julian's debut as a novelist. However, due to a printing error, it was pulled from the shelves. This copy is one of the first editions of the first edition, and very few of them exist. Ethan admits that she's absolutely right and that she's good. Diana says to him that he is also notoriously pretty impressive. The two of them now look like complete fanatics. By the time Diana wasn't even out of diapers, she had already read every book Julian ever wrote. Everyone around her called her a child prodigy, but really, it was obvious. After all, inside her was the soul of a 30-year-old woman. And when it came to Julian, she would have already cursed and fought anyone who tried to come near him. Cindy used to think Diana must have been so possessive that she wouldn't allow anyone else to love him, but maybe she was wrong. She says to him that now it's her turn. Cindy wonders if Diana is really going to take that thing out here. She takes out the merch, asking if he's seriously into stuff like this as a fan. Cindy thinks there's no way a serious man like Ethan is going to be into fan merch, but to everyone's surprise, he gets all excited alongside Diana, asking where he can get things like these, making Cindy speechless. Indeed, he's just a child. Ethan. Diana says to him that if he wants, she can make it for him. As much as he wants. They make a good deal with each other like smugglers with top-tier contraband. Now we see that he's practically yapping to Diana about how good Julian's books are, but soon he realizes that he's lost his composure. Diana just says that he can talk about him as much as he wants because it's good to talk about what one is passionate about. Ethan admits that he has heard rumors about her that she's a good butler, but he never thought they'd actually be true. But she's really happy to serve a fellow Julian fan. It feels like a blood connection to her. He thinks now that she's great because using Julian dolls like this makes it feel like they're having a conversation with him right now. She then asks him if he recognizes these cakes. Cindy wonders if they aren't just regular lemon cakes. Ethan loses it again as he recognizes that this is the favorite food of the protagonist in Julian's latest novel. He eats the cake and is truly impressed. Diana is glad at his praise. He asks her if she can make other things too. She assures him that she can make anything he sees in the Julian books, and she promises that it'll be the best one out there. He asks her about her name, so she gives him her butler alias Dion. He then says that he'd love to meet her every weekend. She's all down to meet for storytelling and tea, of course. He says that indeed, the one who catches the right one will get the right thing. After all, he is going to become the next head. Making Cindy think that might sound subtle, but it's an important thing. After they're done with their tea, Ethan says that it was a great time. It really helped him wind off after work. He says they'll meet next week, and she's like, sure, here next week. She then takes her leave. But as she's going with Cindy, Cindy's eyes lock with Ethan's, making him think he's seen this doll somewhere before. Now, Diana is dancing as if anyone would have thought that she'd end up meeting a fellow Julian fan right here in enemy territory. And yet, it's true. Fan friends are indeed the best kind. Cindy can't help but recall how Ethan, who once stood on the opposite side, somehow became a friend. It's ridiculous, honestly. Just a reminder, this place isn't just anyone's home. It's her father's fiancé's house, and Ethan, because of his fangirl heart, is now an ally, all thanks to Julian's fiancée. But when Diana's expression turns into that sharp, evil, and unmistakably angry look, Cindy immediately knows they should pretend they never heard any of this. Diana scolds Cindy, irritated that she still can't tell the difference between a real fan and a fake one. Cindy, however, casually questions if there's even a difference. Diana says that of course there is. Real fans genuinely love their idol and talk about them non-stop. Cindy agrees, remembering how back then, she zoned out completely while the other girls just kept talking about their idol. It felt like listening to a boss giving a never-ending speech. Diana says that's exactly why girls who fake their interest in someone real need to get exposed. Still, Cindy can't deny that Ethan truly seems like a die-hard Julian fan. But even she can't forget that he's also the son of Julian's fiancée. For Diana, though, anyone who shares the same interest and loves Julian like she does is a comrade. Setting all that aside, Cindy points something out. Diana needs to be careful. It looks like Ethan might have noticed Cindy, especially since she's crossed paths with him before. But before she can even finish her sentence, someone picks her up out of nowhere, making both of them freeze. The one who picks her up is Elias. And now they're wondering, did Elias see them talking? Because if he did, then they're absolutely doomed. Cindy is stressed, panicking over why Elias is watching her like that. Diana quickly steps in, telling him that the doll belongs to her and asks what the problem is. But she can't read Elias at all. That calm, unreadable type, he's exactly the kind of person Diana hates the most. They always get adored by everyone without even trying. In her book, that makes him her sworn enemy. The two of them stare each other down until Diana finally asks him if he has a problem. Elias, calm as ever, responds that he doesn't see why he would. Diana, not backing down, accuses him of staring at her and, worse, of picking up her doll. He explains that he was simply curious about how a voice came out of a doll. Oh no, they're really doomed now. Diana immediately denies it. There's no way a doll could speak, she insists. But just then, Cindy lets out a loud, "Mistimed at you." Elias notices, of course he does, and remarks that it even sneezes. Now he's really wondering how this doll even works. Diana, gritting her teeth, tells Cindy to kick him. Without hesitation, Cindy jumps and lands right in Diana's arms. She knows there's no other way they've been caught. So Diana challenges Elias to a duel. Cindy is horrified. Why does everything always end in a fight? Diana explains that if she wins, Elias will have to keep this secret to his grave. Cindy still tries to suggest they talk it out, negotiate maybe, but Elias says he doesn't really care either way. Cindy pleads with him to say no just like Diana. But he ignores her and asks Diana what they'll do for the challenge. Diana, without hesitation, declares that they'll settle it with a sword fight. That's the only way. Elias studies her and notes that she's not bad. After all, why would she be? She's been practicing double sword fighting ever since she was a child, all so she can one day save Julian with her own 2 hands. He admits that she's okay, but he also casually disarms her, making her drop her sword. It looks like she hasn't had the chance to be trained by a proper instructor, and she's developed a few strange habits. He offers to point them out if she wants. Diana gets furious. She absolutely hates when people look down on others, especially him. She wants nothing more than to wipe that calm expression off his face. Meanwhile, Ethan is walking nearby when Freddie approaches him, teasing that he seems to be in an unusually good mood. Ethan tells him it's rare to see Freddie around at this time. Freddie shrugs and says he's looking for someone. He then turns back to Ethan, asking if something has happened to make him look so happy. Ethan is just about to explain when suddenly a sword comes flying past them. They both turn, eyes widening, and see that it's Elias's sword. Their gaze follows the line of motion and lands on Diana. At the same time, both of them exclaim in confusion, wondering what she is doing there. Then they turn to each other, asking at the exact same time, "Do you know her?" Elias, completely composed, tells Diana that no matter how many times she tries, the result will be the same. She yells back at him, telling him not today. And if he's planning to expose her secret, that gets Ethan and Freddie's attention fast. What secret? Diana freezes. Cindy freezes. Even Ethan and Freddie are caught off guard. Elias, unbothered, casually asks if by secret she means the one where she's actually Julian's daughter. Everyone falls into stunned silence. Not just Diana and Cindy, but Ethan and Freddie too, absolutely shocked. We see that Clary is reading one of Julian's books when a maid approaches her, asking if she would like some tea. The maid soon returns, serving her with a lovely slice of cake that instantly delights Clary. She praises it, genuinely impressed by the taste. The maid informs her that it was actually made by the new butler. As it turns out, Diana had mocked the head chef by saying he made lame-ass cakes. Offended, the chef challenged Diana to make one herself if she thought she could do better. And with her famously talented hands when it came to baking, Diana did exactly that. The maid shares the entire story with Clary, clearly amused and amazed, and even adds that Diana seems capable of anything and is remarkably good with her hands. Clary, intrigued, admits that she's truly looking forward to meeting this girl. The maid promises to inform the head butler so that it can be arranged. Then, while collecting the book to let Clary enjoy her tea time in peace, the atmosphere suddenly shatters. Clary's father, the Marquis, bursts through the door unannounced. Without warning, he marches over and slaps her hard across the face. He rips the book right out of her hands, shouting at her about wasting her time on these ridiculous novels.